Welcome back to my channel. This week I'm going to be doing a little bit of a journaling vlog, catching up with some of my yearly collections and spreads, and changing one of the spreads since I actually am not using it. So let's get into it. This is my year at a glance, my cover page. These are some of my yearly spread that I have and have not been keeping up with. We'll start here with my 2023 in review and 2024 goals. As you can see, I haven't filled out my in review page, and I'm thinking about removing that moving forward in next year's journal. So we'll move on to the goals. This goal spread was originally meant to be a bingo board, and I was supposed to fill things out. I think I made the board too big because I don't even have all the squares filled out, but I wanted to go in and fill out which squares I've completed so far. Not a lot. Some of these are in progress, so I wanted to mark what I feel like I've actually either completed or doing enough successfully. This next spread is my 2024 memory spread. I do have the pictures that I want to put in here, but I didn't want to print them out and put it in this vlog since they're pictures of people, my family, my niece and nephew, so I didn't want to put that out there on the internet. But I will print those on nice photo paper and use my printer that I bought last year to print them out. I have them all bookmarked so I can use them. Moving on is my 24 project spread. I have not done most of these projects, but I'm still working on it. I'm hoping I can complete a few of them by the end of the year. I think I'll switch up the spread so it doesn't feel like these are projects I have to complete in this year, but they're kind of like someday tasks. Then I have my books in 2024 spread. These are just books I wanted to prioritize reading. Of course, the garbage truck decided to come while I was recording this voiceover, so if you hear the beeps, that's what that is. Anyway, this is my books in 2024 spread. These are books I wanted to prioritize reading this year. These are books that I wanted to prioritize reading, but not necessarily the books that I had to read this year. I don't think I've read any of them. A lot of them are still on my bookshelf or still on hold. I have gotten to my goal of 24 books though. It's just not these ones. So I'm probably going to get rid of this next year and just have a general TBR or keep that TBR digitally. Next up is my books I read spread. This is where I've been noting down the books I've read, the time frame that it took for me to read the book, the author's name, and my rating. My ratings aren't really scientific or there's no real methodology to them. It's just based on vibes, whether I enjoyed it or not. So anything that's, I think, a 3.5 and above is something that I really like. I did give two books a 4. I need to go in and add some of the missing info here as well as the rating stickers. And then on the right is my 2024 reading stats spread, which I won't be filling out until the end of the year once I've read all of the books that I was able to in this calendar year. I did one for 2023 and I actually posted a video of what stats I decided to track. So you can see things like pages read, average ratings. I did all of that using Storygraph, and I'm using Storygraph again this year. I just put ratings in, I don't do reviews. I might change that up for next year, just to have like little blurbs. I haven't decided yet, but you'll definitely see what reading spreads I decide to include at the end of this year for 2025. Next up is my 2024 playlist spread and what I watched. So you'll see I actually kept up with what I watched because I lose track otherwise. I've been starting to note it down in my phone because I forget what show we watched during that month. We usually rotate through a few shows, my sister and I. Depending on what's out, we usually watch one episode of a show and then go to the next one, or we watch that whole season but one episode a day. This is usually like our little viewing after dinner time. Sometimes we'll watch older movies or movies we just haven't seen. They're not necessarily the newest, so I've tracked that as well. So I added in, I think, for June, July, and August, and I'm keeping up for September too, so I can go in and add that. And then shifting back to the playlist spread, so this is where I wanted to put the main song that I've been listening to in that month, and I wanted to put in the QR code the Spotify code here, so you could hold up your phone and then put the camera on one of the codes and it'll actually pull up in the phone. I thought that'd be really cool. And I also had this playlist stamp from Notebook Therapy, and I'm only going to ink the actual playlist buttons and line and scrubber part. I didn't want to make the lines black with my black ink pad, so I decided to take one of my Tombow dual brush pens, which are water-based, and use that as the ink instead. And so I took a brown marker, which I think fits with this orange page better. And then I went ahead and continued to put in the stamps for this first 6 months. You'll see that I had also written out the month and the song for myself, just so I would remember which code went to which song. I really hope I put them together properly. We'll find out. I meant to put a clip of me actually doing the Spotify code. I didn't get to. I did end up removing the album covers because I didn't really want to print those. I wanted this to look uniform, and I grayscaled the Spotify codes just so they would stay consistent, because when you take that screenshot of the code, its color palette is whatever the album cover is or the single cover, and they're all different colors, so I wanted everything to look. And I just went ahead and wrote in the artist's name and the song, and I actually really love how this turned out. You'll see, unfortunately, that a lot of the songs are TikTok popular audios, which is not intentional. I don't purely just listen to music that appears on TikTok, but it just ends up getting stuck in your head, or you find a really good song sometimes through a video. Yeah, that's what it is, since I don't listen to the radio really anymore because I'm not driving, but I'll come across stuff on Spotify or from movies, TV shows, stuff like that. Anyway, let's move on to the next spread. And so this was actually supposed to originally be my dopamine menu, which is pretty funny because when I set this up at the beginning of the year, none of this was trending. And now I think in the last month or so throughout August, I've seen a bunch of videos about people creating their dopamine menu and sharing it purely about things that make them happy. I had originally seen this menu used for folks with ADHD, and then I decided I wanted to use it as a way to manage anxiety and stress. So I actually didn't end up filling this out. I actually haven't had a need for this menu. I have been managing it, but I just didn't need to rely on this list of options. So I'm going to change it back to a social tracker, which I thought I wasn't going to track, but I have inevitably been tracking them at least monthly, and I want to put them down in one place since I've just been taking screenshots at the end of the month, and those have just been everywhere. So I reprinted out a new title, colored that in the same fashion, used a slightly different colored marker, and I was luckily able to peel away the old title pretty easily. That was nice. I didn't have to paste it over and make the page even thicker than it's going to be. And then I cut out a paper using my Archer and Olive Neapolitan notepad, which has black, white, and craft paper in it, and I took out a page from there because it's perforated. And so I cut the page so it fit the empty spots without compromising the decoration, because I really like those stickers there, even though they don't make sense anymore, but I still wanted to keep it, so made sure to cut around it so I could keep the sticker and the washi there. And then I printed out the different initials for the month and I colored those in the same fashion as the title. And you'll see I cut them out and I'm going to be pasting them in. I also have a category for Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, YouTube, and my bujo TikTok, which I actually forgot to print a proper heading for, and I also didn't think about the fact that I needed them for the bottom half of the year, so those are blank. I'll print them out after and put those in. I also made some extra lines, so you'll see that I take my white gel pen to fix that and added a few stickers for decoration and to cover the line. So since I've been taking those screenshots every month, I can go ahead and fill that in. Yeah, and I hit my reading goal actually last night of 24 books, and I have a bunch of books actually lined up next on my Libby and my Kindle, so I'm excited to exceed my goal. We're also having a reading challenge at work right now, so I really want to win because I'm competitive. It's a good reason to incentivize myself to hit my goal and go beyond it. So maybe I'll make a little spread in my journal for this reading challenge, even though I think it's going to be the same thing as the books I read in the month, so we'll see. The routine spread is pretty set. There's nothing for me to check off. It's just a reference. And I actually am tracking that through my reminders app, which is working pretty well. I don't necessarily get to it on the day that I signed it, but it is keeping me in check to make sure to do those things at a regular cadence. And then here I flipped over to the declutter spread, which I actually created in December 2023 when had some time off. It was the holidays and I wanted to get some things done, and I actually got some of the stuff done. There's still a lot to be done, but less than the beginning of the year. And here's my 2024 vision board of some things I wanted to do this year, such as travel, activities, career goals, and some of these I've actually been doing, so maybe it'll be fun to make like a little TikTok and be like, hey look, I went to Yosemite. But there's also a few I still want to do, like watercoloring or doing a little cooking recipe club. It's just been so hot this year that no one's about to cook in 105-degree weather. I've also been wanting to put together a formal like recipe book with family recipes just to have them on hand. So that's another future project. And then I'm flipping over to August to fill in some of the spreads, which is my books I read in August. I actually did not really end up reading this month between traveling and work. I just haven't been in the mood. I started 2 books, but I didn't finish them this month. So I'll actually be finishing them in September. And so since I had a lot of blank space, I printed out the covers pretty large. This was also a good test because I had no idea how I wanted to size them. So I'll figure that out moving forward. And just decided to add a little bit of like that genre, pages info here since I didn't have much else to do. On the right side, you'll see there's different sections for things I needed to do before traveling, things I needed to purchase. I ended up putting all of this on my phone and then I did it. So I'm actually going to turn that spread into an Olympic spread. It says pre-travel reflections there, but I didn't write them and now I've traveled. So I don't really want to go back into the pre. And I really love the Olympics. I had so much fun watching it, and the Paralympics. So I wanted to make a little spread dedicated to that because it would be fun. And so that's it. Here I'm flipping through my pages of what I filled out so far. And happy I'm actually keeping up with these yearly collections. They're not too daunting to keep up with, which is good because otherwise I leave a bunch of pages blank and I never go back and fill them. And so those are filled for the first half of the year, and I'll continue trying to keep up for the rest of the year so I don't have to do a catch up like this. As for the declutter spread, I'm really hoping to make a spread to help kind of incentivize and gamify it for myself in October to reward myself. Like if I finish 3 tasks, I could get an ice cream or go do a fun activity or a purchase. So maybe that'll force me to do it. Anyway, that's all for today. Please let me know what you think in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe for more videos. And thank you for watching. Bye.